So we've done it. We've hit 200,000 subscribers here on the channel. This video is going to be a lot different than anything I've ever released. What I want to do is first give you guys a promo code. Plarium was nice enough to bestow upon me and you guys a free promo code to help us celebrate 200K, which is really, really cool. So I want to start first and foremost by giving a massive shout out to Plarium. I don't know how juicy the promo code will be, so we will see. They also gave me a new download link for you guys if you want to start a second account, or you want to go ahead and refer a friend or whatever you'd like to do with that. So I'll have that for you guys as well in today's video. And then after that, we're going to go ahead and take a trip down memory lane. I'm going to share a little bit of my story from when I was born to now, and hopefully we're going to do it in about 5 minutes or less. Share kind of what this journey has looked like for me and some of the inspiration that I found along the way. There'll be a lot of highs, there'll be a lot of lows as well, so stay tuned. So for the 90% of you guys who don't give a flip about anything that I mentioned about myself, let's start with the promo code. Actually, let's start with a new link. I have two links for you guys, two download links. The first one is for the kind of the same old, but I think it's probably the best one. And it's for Tyrell. You get Tyrell immediately upon downloading. Where was that when I started the game? And then at level 15, you get a copy of Rector Draft. So 2 epic champions on that download link. This is obviously for new players. So Rector Draft is great with the Veil, yada, yada, yada. The other one is a new one, and that is Vergis, the high elf who actually got a buff a couple years ago. He's really solid. And then when you get level 15, you'll get a copy of Grizzled Jarl, who is pretty good as well. I was going for Jarek for whatever reason, who is pretty solid as well. He's maybe not quite as good as he used to be, but he brings a lot to the table. So those are the two download links. They'll be in the show notes below. Let's get to the promo code, and then we can get to talking about yours truly here, guys. So the promo code is going to be, and again, I have not tried it yet. Let's see what they think of your boy Ash, right? Is it 15 legendary skill tomes? Something tells me it's not. It's called Ash Celebrates, and Ash Celebrates, it's only good for 7 days. So that means the 23rd of May, this will expire. So there it is. Okay, hey. They think something of me, right? Thank you, Plarium. 200K for 200,000 subscribers. And then we get one energy refill, 10 brews, and a 3-star chicken. That's what I'm worth to you, Plarium. That's it. I'm just joking. Enjoy the rewards. And again, I have to start by saying thank you to Raid Shadow Legends. I give a lot of grief to Raid Shadow Legends. I know the developers behind this game are incredibly passionate. I want to give a special shout out to the entire marketing team as well, who I work with more probably than the community team on a day-to-day basis through my company as well. So thank you so much to everybody at Plarium. It's been a pleasure covering your game. It's again, I give a lot of negative or constructive feedback, we'll say, but at the same time, it's because I love the game. I love this community. I love everything about Raid, with maybe a couple exceptions. So guys, I wasn't kidding. Here I am with my mom at the tender age of, I don't know, 6 months old or something like that. So this is my journey. It started back in 1982. Yes, I'm old. So that's me, the little fella. I started to grow up a little bit, right? I actually made an image out of this one. Start each day with a grateful heart, using this photo, and I see this every day when I go to work every day, because it's a great message. Start each day with a grateful heart, because we take for granted what we have, and we always overvalue what we want. You know, at least that's how I feel. You know, that's my own experience. So, you know, slowly but surely here, your boy grows up. There I am. I look a lot like my son, which we'll foreshadow here. And then something really bad happened. I'm skipping like over 20 years of my life here. But something awful happened. The closest person I had in my life to me was my mom, you know, and she suddenly and very sadly died of lung cancer when she was 48 years old, right after she had gotten remarried from this photo of us. And my world crushed. Of course, anybody out there who's lost a really close loved one, you know how it really makes this line of demarcation in your life where there's before and then there's after, and nothing is ever the same. And nothing is ever the same. And that's been my experience. I miss her every single day. I felt like I lost somebody who who, this sounds selfish way to put it, but as someone who cared about me most in the world, you know, that support system. And it was really, really tough for me at the time. I was actually working for the United States Postal Service. I worked there for 13 years as a letter carrier in a pretty urban area. And then I was always kind of doing something on the side though, right? I had a blog, I had an eBay business where I'd buy on Craigslist and sell on eBay. So I always had a side hustle, always was hungry for something more. No offense to postal workers, like really enjoyed the job, honestly. I really enjoyed listening to audiobooks and podcasts all day and stuff like that, but I was always hungry for something else as well, right? Always been that way. So after the loss of my mom, right after the loss of my mom, over the next, I guess, couple failures of my intermittent jobs, I started playing Clash of Clans, and I thought to myself, well, damn, man, I mean, other people out there are using this thing called YouTube, you know, back in 2012, 2013, it wasn't necessarily as popular, obviously, as it is right now. So I decided to start a YouTube channel, and I did. I started my first YouTube channel. I still am quasi-active there right now. It's actually called Clash with Ash. There I am. So I was just shy of 1 million subscribers. We got, we did pretty well. Like I said, I upload maybe, once a month at this point, it looks like. So that's the channel that I started a decade ago, and it was very therapeutic for me, honestly. It gave me an outlet. It gave me something to be passionate about, something to honestly distract me in some ways as well. So that helped me a lot. But then the other big blow of my life came, and these are my two brothers, Nathan and Sean, and me on the left. My brother Sean, he was the other person who was closest to me in my life, and he was autistic. I always talk about Sean here on the channel when we give to the ARC, one of those organizations. I mentioned that my brother was autistic and he passed away. He was only 28 years old, and he actually died incredibly suddenly. My mom died of lung cancer, non-smoker. It was a genetic thing that she didn't know about. She was diagnosed, and then 3 months later, she passed away. And my brother died of a seizure, a grand mal seizure. His heart stopped. He had a couple back-to-back grand mal seizures. And it was the worst, tied for the worst day of my life. And this is right after I had, a couple years after I had started a YouTube channel. This is 2016. And it was, it crushed me. It was the closest I've ever been to contemplating really bad things, And that was a crushing blow. And I felt meaningless. I felt nihilistic about life. I didn't know what to do, and I started to devote myself even more to YouTube, honestly, right? And I was able to actually grow and eventually go full time. And so many people in the community actually had my back, and the outpouring was amazing. Here's another picture of me and Sean. But he was more than a brother to me. I was also, to some extent, a caretaker of his, because Sean was very, very verbose, and but he was more like I guess the best way is like a 4-year-old personality and interests and stuff in a 28-year-old's body, So anyway, it was a big part of my life. You guys know that if you have a dependent, they end up defining you in so many ways that you don't expect until you're in that position of taking care of somebody or helping to take care of somebody. You lived in a group home and whatnot. So anyway, I still obviously deal with that every single day. I started isolating myself after this, and it's something that I really struggle with to this day. I'm about to share with you all my YouTube channels and everything that I'm up to, and I think that I dive into work, and I think it's a bad thing in a lot of ways too, to be honest with you guys. I love it. Love this community, and I love what I've been able to build with all your help, but at the same time, it's come at a deep cost for me of my relationships in my life, I mean, a dude who has 15 YouTube channels in a company, you must ask yourself, and who, I'd like to think I'm a pretty good father as well. Like, how do you find the time? And it's really just sacrificing anything else in life, which is, it's not maybe a wise decision, but it's kind of a coping mechanism for me. At least it was at the time. And now here it is all these years later. So I started to travel the world with YouTube. I competed at esports events. I wasn't good, but I competed. I leaned on other players, right? I did a lot of casting, I did a lot of casting. I traveled the world. I went pretty much everywhere, every continent, dozens and dozens of countries, from, China to Italy to Japan to Estonia to all over Europe, everywhere. It was awesome. The biggest thing is that I can ever say to anybody is experience other cultures and in other regions and other countries. It opens your eyes in so many ways that you would never expect. It's so huge. It's so huge. And then the best thing in my life happened ever, by far. This little guy, Charles, was born. My little guy, there he is there, super small in that picture. He gave me life again. He gave me hope. He gave me purpose. He gave me promise. And I'm like choking up talking about Charles, man. I feel like every parent feels this way. But this little guy, he's everything, man. He's everything. He's not your typical little 6-year-old now. He's not. He's such a unique and thoughtful and awesome little fella. And I'm so proud of him. And I hope he watches this video someday and knows how much he meant to me. He's the perfect little guy. So he came around and things have been a lot better since then for me. Hey, I went and won awards and presented awards, and this one was actually on behalf of Plarium at the Esports Awards. That was a great opportunity for me to be there on their behalf, and it was really cool to, again, just traveling and stuff like that. I met a bunch of internet famous people like Jacksepticeye and Ninjas of the World and yada yada yada. But truthfully, even though here I am including some of these photos and a lot of celebrities and stuff like that, but truthfully, and I really mean this as not a shot against anybody else obviously, but it's been the creators from my own ecosystems that I've appreciated the most. Maybe it's an age thing, maybe it's common interests and stuff like that. But those have been the times that I've truly, really cherished. Here I am in Japan. It was like, it's just been a blast. Here's the kiddo now, a more recent photo. This is actually last weekend at breakfast. But yeah, that's been kind of my life. Now, I already talked about my first channel, Clash with Ash, still kind of holding on there. And then through sponsorships on the Clash with Ash YouTube channel, I was able to do a lot of advertisements for Raid Shadow Legends, right? And I remember talking to Lance, our co-founder, which is coming up in just the next slide here. And he was just like, dude, I'm hooked on a game, and you're not gonna believe what the game is. And I'm like, what is it, man? I don't know what. And he's like, Raid Shadow Legends. And I'm like, no, not that trash, disgusting, garbage, pay-to-win game, man. What are you talking about? And then I started playing. My competitive spirit, I was like, okay, I want to check this game out. And I got hooked too, obviously, right? So I advertised this game on the main channel for maybe the better part of a year. And eventually I went to Plarium and I pitched them, hey, I'll start a dedicated channel on this game. Will you sponsor me? And they're like, no, we don't sponsor. we don't sponsor. But I got so hooked on the game that I did it anyway. I started the channel anyway for free, so to speak. But I was still advertising it on my Clash channel anyway. So I was like, you know what? I like the game. I might as well start covering it, And soon after that, we started our company in 2019, and this is Aftershock Media Group. There I am, real name revealed. There's Lance, kind of where the founders, and we have this massive team of unbelievably amazing individuals who really, at this point in the company, deserve all the credit for all our success. We represent, hundreds of talent, and we do basically everything from live events, yada, 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 for every game launches, marketing, anything, influencer marketing, community programs, education programs, or anything adjacent to that. We do it all. So that is probably takes up the majority of my time on a day-to-day basis. But I'm a sicko and I wanted to do more. So about a year and a half ago, I decided I want to make a Raid Shadow Legends Champion Guides YouTube channel. And I want to do a guide on every champion in the game. I don't edit this content. It's not like super polished or anything like that. It's kind of just me talking about a champion and sharing how I built them. So yeah, we've done about 400 guides on champions now. So that's a really fun project as well. And then we have the Watcher of Realms YouTube channel. I got into Watcher of Realms same way I got into Raid. I got into it by, in the beginning, just advertising it. And then I decided to make this channel as well. And then I joined up with the Fateless team because I didn't have enough on my plate. I was like, what else can I do here? But I had been working with Sham, one of the owners and founders of Fateless, for a long time. And then obviously I've always admired the Hades crew, the hellhades.com crew. And of course, Simon himself, Hell Hades. It's a simple philosophy in life, ladies and gentlemen, but I've always thought to myself, hey, when you find people who are awesome, try to work with them. And when I say awesome, I mean like people who you don't think are going to fail, people who succeed in almost everything they put their mind to, people with a certain amount of drive and integrity. And when I saw that team and I got to know them, the whole team really, I don't want to miss anybody, but Dan as the other co-founder, they're all amazing. They're all great, and I got to working with Saf a lot on Fateless, right? Because Saf obviously is a big part. He's like just an amazing genius of a brain, of a mind for these games and game design. So here it is, Ash and Saf, Dragonair Silent Gods. Now this is a sponsored channel, but truthfully, I really love I can't say I love the game yet, to be totally honest with you guys. But I love working with Saf, and I love the format that we have here, basically co-hosting all the content. And I'm just like a noob, and he's just like this expert on my shoulder, like, don't do that, do that. So I think it's a really unique take on, because otherwise, when you start a game as a content creator and you just start uploading, I don't see it as particularly interesting, right? Because you're just like, this person clearly doesn't have any clue what they're doing, so what am I doing here, So I really enjoy the format. We'll see where that channel goes, of course. I wanted to end with, apropos of absolutely nothing, but I kind of got to thinking, what else could I share here at the end of this video, right? And I thought maybe I would share 3 people that I look up to as role models in life. It's something that no one talks about nowadays. No one said, yeah, that person's my role model or anything like that. But I always have had 3, basically my entire life, and I'm sure no one will be able to guess any of them. But I wanted to share really quickly because I feel like right now in this world, we have a lack of people that we can look up to. Everybody's flaws and warts are out there for everybody to see. There's cancel culture. Everybody wants to find anything that you're doing wrong or in a whatever. Everybody's offended by everything, and as someone who's a little bit more from the old school camp, and someone who's, I've made mistakes, I don't know. Whatever, I'm going on a tangent here. But number 1, see that dude hugging the ape? Couldn't have maybe found a better picture there, but that is Fred Rogers. Some of you may, especially from the States, might be familiar with Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. I don't have a lot in common with Fred Rogers, but I've always looked up to him. I've always looked up to him not because of his children's television program, but because he's always been unabashedly himself. Cringe, whatever, but he's so unapologetically always himself, on air, off air, in interviews, and he speaks to children and treats children like they're real human beings, And that's a big way of how I try to parent my son, not talking to them inappropriately like an adult, but actually taking the time to see how they feel about things and really being interested in them as a person, not just barking at them or whatever. I've always admired that about Fred Rogers. The next one is Helen Keller. Yeah. Listen, there's a lot of Helen Keller jokes out there and memes and stuff. And, like I said, I'm not super sensitive and I get it. But Helen Keller's always been top of my list in terms of people I admire. She had everything stacked up against her. No way to communicate with the entire world. And what she accomplished in her life is just unfathomable. It's unbelievable. And I've always found, no matter what I'm going through, think about not being able to see or speak or hear, and think about that, and still being successful and motivating millions and millions of people to this day, myself included. And then the last one, Jim Henson. There's a lot about Jim Henson's life that maybe isn't super admirable. He wasn't the best dad. He wasn't, the best necessarily family member because he was so dedicated to his craft. But for me, I've always admired his creative spirit, and I really highly recommend watching or reading, his biography. There's also a lot of, documentaries out there about him. What I tend to do is, even beyond this, like Arnold Schwarzenegger is another guy. Total Recall is a great biography to read, autobiography that is, or Jordan Rules by Michael Jordan. I tend to really try to study super successful people, creative people, special people, and try to understand, how I can glean something from their stories. So I certainly don't put myself in that category, but I hope to one day be one of those people to some people out there as well. Guys, I would absolutely be remiss if I did not end with two massive thank yous. First, to my amazing and lovely girlfriend, Lindsay. She is one of my inspirations as well. Beyond the three people that I spoke about, I consider myself the luckiest dude in the world for finding somebody as amazing as her. And of course, you guys. Thank you. How corny is my background? Thank you guys, seriously. I mean, I'm not a big milestone guy. 200K, 300K, 500K. What does it matter? It's really thanking you for being there every day, once a week, once a month, whatever, just chilling with me and talking some Raid Shadow Legends. I really appreciate you guys. I appreciate the positivity. I appreciate the comments. Heck, I appreciate the criticism. It's all worthwhile, and it makes this and, kind of the whole journey, it makes it worth it. So thank you so much for 200,000 subscribers. Much love, and as always, take care, guys.